Hello, hi everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. I welcome you in this today's WildFit 365 call. And I'm going to start with, we just received the note to say that, is there any way to have the notification for the calls a little bit earlier? So I want to be clear, you will have 2 calls each month for WildFit 365, and the way we did this is to keep it simple, and you can stick to this and remember this. If this changes, then that you will definitely hear about it. But every call is going to be on a Saturday at 11 a.m. New York time, and that means the second Saturday of each month and the fourth Saturday of each month. So you can keep note of this and remember that, and that will be the basic schedule. And if there are any changes to it, then we will reach out to let you know. Okay, so welcome. I can see some of you, many of you are in daylight, so you're calling from somewhere where it's daytime, in maybe the US side of the world, or some of you are in Europe. And for those of you who don't have a camera on, I would just, love you to have a camera on, because that's the best way. That's the best way you can get value out of these calls. If we see you, if we communicate with you, and you let us know what your questions, your shares, your experiences are. And that's what I want to start with. I want to start with saying that these calls are going to be about you, about this tribe, this group of people going through living WildFit. So we're sharing this journey for 12 months. And much of your learnings are going to be from really sharing the experience of like what it means to live WildFit. So listen in when anybody else is having a check-in, because you might just find the answer to your question while somebody else is digging into their questions and finding answers here on the call. So this, and I want to make the call largely about you. So we will spend the majority of the time with I want to hear from you. I want to hear your experiences, your shares. And of course, if you have any questions, and of course, if you feel that you are just stuck with something and you need a bit of help to move on. And before we get to the check-ins today, there's just one important thing I want to touch on. And that is the importance of keeping track of your progress. And I'm going to ask you guys about like okay, first of all, okay, how many of you are keeping track or some kind of track of progress right now? Okay, I see a couple of, oh, good. I can see, okay, so you're doing it. That's very good. I really want to emphasize that. So let me share this story. And this is a client of mine I worked with for a length of time. And she's a sweet young woman, and she was really committed to WildFit. But at the first time when she came to WildFit, she did the program and dropped out at week 10. And then a month later, she came back to us saying, okay, I want to do it again, and this time I want to work with a coach, and I want to do it right this time. And she was telling me how in the first time she dropped out at week 10, she was actually making progress, and she just couldn't see it at the time because she was in the middle of it. That's all I can say. So one of the key things here at WildFit, and I know Eric puts emphasis on this as well in the videos from about week 7 onwards, is to really see what is going on. So look at pictures from before, or and this is what I'm going to ask for your help, guys. Like, let's see. I don't know, Natalie, can the participants unmute themselves? No, I will just call out. So who can share some kinds of ways that they track their progress? Who's willing to play? Okay, because when I asked you how many of you are tracking, then you put your hands up. So I know some of you are, so I might just call on you then. Okay, let's see. Oh, Barbara, thank you.
Hi, so I want to also share early because I might have to go after halfway through. But the biggest difference is I'm trying to get sort of done with foods. I remember Eric started the whole thing for me by saying, this isn't going to be about willpower. It's going to be about that you change what you want and that you don't want the foods anymore. So I've been gradually trying foods that are off WildFit and then being disappointed by them and noticing how they're not kind of that good. And yeah, so there's fewer foods. I went through a grocery store and that I used to go to when I traveled to California, and I went through, and I remember feeling like everything was almost just everything there, and I feel really comfortable saying this, everything there is designed to make you hungry, except for the few things that I buy, you know, the certain produce, and I didn't really like hunger for the cookies and the everything. They just looked like garbage to me or something. They still look very good. And on the flip side, you know, when I come back, there's some foods, I just keep cycling through them. So I have these little energy bars, and they started tasting kind of waxy and fake to me. And to be specific, and I remember just having, I had some muffins and a donut. I kind of was upset one day and I ate them. I slept terribly. I couldn't sleep for after I woke up before and I couldn't go back to sleep. There's something in them. I just feel like it just gradually reduces the draw to those foods. And so even though I haven't lost a lot of weight, like I've gone from, I was around 200 when I started. I lost down to 190. I'm back to about 194 or something like that, 195. I just feel like less and less drawn to the other food. And I feel like, you know, I'm still doing appetizers, and I have like my favorite snack foods, like green beans with like olive oil and garlic salt, which are my favorite things. And
brilliant.
Yeah, just it's like eating fries, because you can eat them one at a time, like a fry. Anyway, it just feels like I'm really now those foods feel like home, and like like I'll have these terrible, like I'll splurge on things. I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna just have an appetizer. I'm just gonna like have the food I like, and it feels like more and more like that's like. Like I said, it's more. Maybe it's becoming a comfort food. That's interesting. Like it feels like there's an ease when I go back to those foods, versus it used to be like comfort was always muffins or something.
Okay, Barbara, I'm going to stop you here, and we can do that at check-in. But I just loved your share, because you actually shared quite a number of ways to track your progress, and the major one that you shared was about the relationship with food. And cravings. So you notice the change in your relationship with food. You mentioned weight as well, and cravings. So these are all really, really great ways to track your progress. So keep noticing them. That's awesome. I'm going to just go around a bit more to see what other forms of tracking we can put together from the group. So thank you, Barbara. So who has some other ways that they can share that they've been tracking progress, or that they notice? Okay, I can see Candida's hand up. Can you share some ways to track? Thank you.
Yes, hi. That was a wonderful share, because I've been really struggling. I was so determined to continue to stay really disciplined as I had been for the last 9 months, but we've been surrounded by fires, so of course anxiety is pretty high.
I'm sorry.
And I didn't. It was really interesting that first I realized when I'm craving something for my nerves that it is fat that I need. And so I've been eating avocados and almond butter with coconut oil when it's a matter of nerves. It used to be cookies. And I tried that with one cookie and I just felt so horrible. I'm like, I couldn't even finish it after I had one bite and that was it. However, I've also been observing more since I'm just going easier on myself and not so demanding. I want to maintain my health, but I've been observing more the level of pressure that people are putting on during invitations. I hadn't realized it before because I just didn't eat it, and I didn't even leave the door open at all. I just brought my own food. I always would bring vegetable appetizers and a vegetable side dish, so I'd be okay. Well, because I was so swamped, I didn't have the opportunity to make all these healthy foods to bring to other dinners, and I realized how other people are really eating. I mean, they would make delicious salmon, but then only with risotto. I used to love risotto. So just because there was nothing else there, I'd have some risotto and I'm already going, oh my God, my stomach is cramping up before I'm even eating it. And of course I feel horrible ever since. And I'm realizing there's no nutrition in this. How do people even survive like this? And I do realize, like the previous caller, the vegetables are really making me feel so good, and they're a way to really treat myself. And the guilt trips that people are putting on you is really interesting. As soon as they notice that you might be weak because of another reason, they start piling it on. Like when I admitted to a friend, you know, I can't believe I ended up having some bread, but there was nothing else there and I didn't have time to be prepared. And then she piles on and says, well, so then I just don't understand why you can't have the bread that I'm offering you. I was just speechless to turn that into a guilt trip that I broke down there, but I wouldn't break down for her. Those are new things that I'm observing, and since I'm not on the perfect food right now, my upstate stomach is so upset. I'm just longing for taking care of it again. So that was my fear.
Thank you, and that is so amazing. And okay, so I'm gonna have to share this, guys, but when I started having ideas, okay, so we were going to discuss about tracking progress, and I was thinking what kind of things come up. You are coming up with things that I didn't even think about. My first idea was like, okay, measurements. And by the way, how many of you think that it's important to track measurements, and how many of you do it? Okay, that's good. Good, Eleanor, Elizabeth. Okay, all right. We're going to touch on that as well. But
by the way, I have not gained any weight. I just wanted to let you know that I'm totally freaking surprised.
Yeah, brilliant,
not
brilliant.
gained any weight. I don't want to use this as an excuse, but I'm just so surprised.
No, you have so from what you shared, the progress is just so visible, and this is what I noted down, that you are in situations when there is, in stressful situations, you're making different choices.
Yes.
Yes. So you treat the situation different itself by making different choices. You then shared how you woken up, like you have food awareness for yourself. And you've also woken up to other people's food awareness around you. Yes. And because you see the conversations that you're having, you're able to see the conversations that they might be having, or the hang-ups that they might be having, or whatever you call them. And that's that is a sign of progress. Like that is definitely, and I have to tell you, I really didn't expect that this would be a major part of tracking your progress, but it turns out to be, now two of you have shared that change with the relationship with food, any kind of food, is a sign of progress. So so keep in mind that, guys. Okay, is there anybody else? I'm going to take one last person to see who's somebody else who's got to share about how they track their progress. Okay, Elizabeth, come.
Well, one of the major changes for me is a physical change. That all of a sudden my face has got smaller. Now, I happen to have had a haircut, so my hair is considerably shorter than what it was, let's say, 2 months ago. I have so many people coming up and telling me how they like my haircut. But I think what they're noticing is I look different. You know, yeah, I look different with a bit of haircut. But, you know, I guess about 4 months ago, 6 months ago, my good friends, because I'm kind of a workaholic. I don't get out and see a lot of people other than clients. So my good friends would say, oh, you know, your face is so much smaller. But it's just been latterly that I have people that I haven't seen for a long time. They're pre-WildFit people, friends. And they're saying about this haircut, but I think it's because my look's different. And actually, it's a bit spooky because I look even at the picture that, you know, I've got on my Facebook page, and it kind of looks like a different person. So that's just a visual type of thing, you know, feedback I'm getting from others. But also when I look at other pictures, as you mentioned, of myself, it's my face. Not so much my hips, but my face. I'm happy with face.
That is beautiful, and that is brilliant. And I mean, how amazing. That's one of my favorite feedbacks when clients tell that their environment shares how different they look. And because that's, you know, that's not us telling you, that's not you trying to figure out whether you're making progress, but you're actually getting feedback from your environment. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. Yes, the physical changes. And so I just want to share a few, thank you, Elizabeth, and keep up the amazing progress. And I just want to share a few words here about the difference between measuring weight and measuring and tracking your measurements, because quite often the go-to measurement is stepping on the scale. And WildFit is really trying to tell you that the best way, it might not be the best way to track your progress, stepping on the scale. In fact, that might give you a little stress, which holds your progress back. So maybe don't do it at all. Well, it's up to you. You can do it. I want to make a point that tracking your measurements is what really, or body fat percentage, is what really going to tell you what's going on, because you might be still adding on muscle, your hydration levels are higher, much higher than before you started WildFit, and it still might be increasing. Your bone density might be increasing, and you might be losing weight, you might be losing fat, but you might still be adding weight. And so I encourage all of you to, in some way, you know, maybe it's just looking at how your clothes feel, or if you take the time, then take the time once in every 2 weeks, once a month, whenever you can, to do the measurements, to track your progress. And I'm gonna ask for, all right, I'm gonna give you just one last way to track your progress, and that one is actually your energy. Like, how does your energy feel? How does your energy feel in the morning? How does it feel during the day, throughout the whole day? Do you have dips? Does it go up and down? How does it feel in the afternoon? And how does it feel after you had a meal? You're making brilliant observations, so I'm really happy about that. And thank you for sharing in with this game of discussing tracking measurements. I'm going to share this list that we created today so that it can be a reminder for you in the forum, and keep tracking the amazing progress. Thank you. And then with that, I'm going to open the arena for questions, shares, check-ins. If you have a question regarding the Living WildFit, or you have something that you need help with, then this is the time to let us know.
Actually, hi Petra, how are you?
Hi, Eric. Welcome. Thanks for joining.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm not here for very long. I just wanted to, you know, I caught what you were saying, and I think there's two things that I wanted to mention about that is really, really key. One is that in life, if we set out to have, really, do you have to play with everything? Is that how this works? Yeah, if I leave the call, she wants to listen to iTunes. Excuse me. Stop that. All right, so anyway, I was saying, like, one of the things is that in life, if we set ourselves up for, you know, for only a singular success, and you know, like we're looking for this one thing, then that's really difficult, because often some of our goals are so far away that it's hard to gain any perspective on how close we're getting to them. You know, I often use the example of climbing Kilimanjaro. Like, you're climbing that mountain, I tell you, you walk for 4 or 5 days, it doesn't feel like it's getting any closer. You know, it just doesn't. And in fact, here's the real insult, is that sometimes you're walking away from the mountain because that's the way the track leads. And so that kind of stuff is really tough when we have goals, especially if we have weight loss goals or symptoms that we're trying to get. Are you that restless? I'll be with you in a minute. Okay, so you know, so one of the things I'm really a big fan of, and I don't want you to just think about this in terms of WildFit. It's setting your life up so that everything you're doing has a number of different successes that are available to you. So, you know, the example I often use, some of you might remember from your class whenever you did WildFit, is an example I often use is that when you're climbing Kilimanjaro, if your only goal is to reach the summit, then you've set yourself up for a big problem, because only about 1/3 of the people that set out actually get to the ultimate summit of the mountain. So that's a problem. And then the other problem is that the goal is sometimes so far away that you can't see any progress. And then the other problem is that sometimes you're walking away from the goal, right? Because that's the only way to get there. And so, like, for example, when we take people on the WildFit Challenge the first time, we tell them in the first week, don't cut anything out and eat all these foods. They often put on weight, right? It's dejecting for them. They're going away from the mountain, and they don't understand, why are you making me walk away from the mountain? Well, that's the path to the summit. Like, that's how it is. And so one of the things that we've done, incidentally, is we've managed to, over 7 trips up Kilimanjaro, average 90% of our clients to the summit. 90%, 3 times the normal average, right? Well, one of the things that we teach them is to be looking for waypointed success all along the way. So when I climb the mountain, I have a bunch of different goals, like, you know, creating a deeper connection with the other people I'm climbing with, observing the changes in vegetation. It's so fascinating. You start off in the rainforest, and then you go up into this you know, sort of high alpine forest, and then you move into the shrubbery, and you move into this area where it's like lichens, and then you move into this area where there's nothing at all. It's really like you're almost on the moon. Well, that's really fascinating. And so by watching that stuff on the road, we give ourselves a sense that we're making progress, even if we're not getting closer to the primary goal. So that's my first thought for you about this. It's really important that you set your life up so that you're never just thinking about the one outcome. I try to set everything up in my life so that it's impossible to fail, that everything that I do in my life is set up on degrees of success. So I can succeed by 100% and hit my weight goal, but I might not, but still have a 70% success because I'm sleeping better, because I've got this, because I've got a new relationship with food, because my health trajectory is clearly better, right? So I have 70% success. Whereas in the old diet world, it was like you either had success or failure. No, let's not do that. Let's have the, and then I want to bring one more thing up that just really, I knew the call was on now, and I just got home. Lisa and I've been away, and I just got home and I walked in because something's really been on my mind, and that is this. Once you're feeling good, it's really easy to forget what not feeling good was like. Isn't it true? Once you're feeling good, I mean, you're like, you know, when you felt that recently, and you look at the pizza or a chocolate bar, what I'm using extremes. It could even be fruit when you want to be in spring. But when you look at something, and you like, it's just. I think you guys get the point of what I'm trying to say here is that when the absence of pain is not very motivating. You know, if you're not feeling any pain, it's like got nothing to move away from. And the next thing you know, this is where the food monster or the sugar devil shows up and goes, not only have you done so well, but you feel great. We should celebrate. Right? And because the pain is so far away, because you haven't experienced it, because you've been recovering, and because the potential pain is so far in the future. I mean, what? Cancer, heart disease, that happens to other people. Yeah, 2 out of 3 people. It's really easy for us to disassociate away from that right now. But the fact is those things, but when you're well, when you're feeling good, it's like a whole different thing. So I just felt compelled to come and share both of those distinctions with you. It's no longer about success or failure. It's about degrees of success. You set everything up that way. Guys, when I get on stage to do a talk, you know, I'm lucky. I know I'm good at it. I enjoy it a great deal. But let me tell you right now, I don't get on stage to do a talk with one outcome. If I'm doing a talk in front of 1,000 people about WildFit, what do you think my primary outcome is? To get them to sign up, of course, because I want to change their life. And I've got passion about that. But then I have a whole bunch of other outcomes. Like here's one, to have fun. It's always one of my outcomes. Here's another one, to inspire change in people that just are not going to get their credit card out, okay? They're not going to do the program, but I'd still love for them to still make a little shift in their health trajectory. I've had many people come up to me and say, I saw the 2-hour talk you did in Copenhagen 2 years ago, and I've lost 30 pounds, and I never even signed up for your program. Excellent. Great. I'll send you a bill. I'm kidding. You know, so, and now I get on stage. Here's another strategic objective. To get invited to do the next talk. Here's another strategic objective. For somebody in the audience to come and say, hey, I'd like to interview for my podcast or my blog. Happens every time. So what I'm saying is I get up on stage and do the talk. It's impossible to fail. Oh, here's one of my other ones. Every time I go on stage, one of mine is to learn how to do it better every single time. Every single time I go on stage, one of my strategic objectives is to learn how to make the talk even better. So if any of you have ever seen me speak in public and you thought, wow, he's pretty good at that, it's not an accident. I used to be so terrified and phobic of speaking that it made me want to vomit. It's not something that came naturally to me. It's that every time I got on stage, I had a strategic objective, which means that if I didn't hit my primary goal, it's okay. I still had stages of success. You can take this into any area of your life, but I really want you to think of that in terms of your ongoing life with WildFit. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. I don't want to hijack Petra's show with you guys, and I'm going to let her get to all your questions and answers. I just wanted to share that with you. By the way, I'll give you one other little thing is that I am going to be going to Spring on Monday, and I might do just for Get WildFit members. We're just talking about doing it over the weekend, but I might announce it on Sunday that if anybody who's actually in Spring wants to do it with me, then we might create a little private forum in the membership site, and I'll just share what because I'm going to do minimum 1 week of Spring. I might do 2. I just have a thing in the way, so I'm trying to figure that out. So I just keep an eye out. If it doesn't happen, don't worry. It's just an idea that I've been having. And Petra, thank you so much. You're doing a great. You guys love. Isn't Petra amazing? I tell you guys, I mean it. I told you guys this story. I met Petra and I immediately thought she needs to be part of our family. She's so passionate about this. And I'll tell you guys secretly behind the scenes, I'm often jumping in and getting ready to do a call. And I go, Petra, what week are they in? And she goes, week 4. And I go, what happens in week 4? It's not in my head. I gotta go. It's in her head. She knows this stuff really, really well. So you're in really good hands. Have a fantastic weekend. And thanks for giving me a couple of minutes.
Thank you, Eric, and thank you so much for the inspiration. So how many of you have taken some ideas away about tracking progress and setting goals? Yeah? Okay, did you take a few? Very good, very good, very good. All right, so let's turn the show back over, okay, it's over to me, but I want to turn it back over to you because, oh, by the way, I was taking some notes as well, and I'm setting some new goals up for outcomes. So I hope you guys are doing it too. So let's turn it over to you, and with anyone checking in, I would like to ask the rest of the group to look at it with like, have these outcomes as well as for yourself. Like, how can I, what can I learn from this? Is there anything in there that's answering my question? What can I notice that that is helping me learn? So when we're checking in, then please do this for others. So I want to ask for somebody to check in who is having something that they want to discuss about, or just a question regarding WildFit 365. And I can see a couple of hands up. Thank you. So I'm going to start with Dina, because, or Dean, sorry, is that the full name? How do you say the full name?
It's Dina.
Dina. She had her name up for that, her hand up. Yeah.
I don't really have a question. My hand was up for the previous discussion.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. All right, so would you like to share how you track your progress?
Just a couple things. First of all, I wanted to comment on what Eric was just saying. I wanted to mention that one of the things that I say to myself frequently is saying that nothing tastes good as feeling healthy feels. And I find that to be very important. It really keeps me from trying anything. But in general, I find that I'm not, I don't have any desires for things anymore. I don't care for cookies or ice cream or any of those things. It doesn't appeal to me. In fact, I've given away all of the ice cream in my freezer and my cookies and all those sorts of extra snacks. The only thing I have gone back to is wine, because I really dearly love wine, and but I don't drink a couple glasses. I drink half a glass. I've stayed away from coffee totally, although I must say I still enjoy the smell of coffee in the coffee shop, but I order herbal teas. I've come to really enjoy rooibos. So it has changed me a great deal. But in terms of measurements, here are a couple of other measurements. My cholesterol level is incredibly good. I've forgotten what it went from, but it's now way down in the very good range. The blood pressure has gone down about 35 points. And my blood sugar has gone way down. I was in the pre-diabetic, close to the diabetic range. I'm just about out of that now totally. So those are things that I really thank Eric and WildFit for. They've been very valuable.
Thank you, and thank you for making the commitment and jumping in and for getting here, because we've given you some tools and you made it happen. And I mean, thank you. This is another good way to track progress. You're right about not everybody will have to do that, to go to their doctors, but if you have any measurements that the doctor is giving you, that's a brilliant way to track progress. And I love that how you shared that you went back to wine, but you still made progress because you're not having a full glass but having a half glass. So I caught that. Well done. Okay, thank you, Dina. All right, so Laurie, your hand was up. Hi.
Hi, okay, I have like a million questions. Last time, Eric mentioned not to do heavy exercise because it releases cortisol. And
Yeah.
so I do like hot yoga and some like boot camp type stuff. And is that too much?
Okay. That's a good question. Very good question. And I will turn it back in to you, because how do you see that hot yoga? How do you feel after hot yoga? How do you feel that it's holding you back, or do you feel that it's actually okay?
I feel like I just leave all my stress on the mat. I really look forward to it after the day, to just, just let it all go and, get, be in my body instead of my head like I am from work and things like that. So I enjoy it.
That's brilliant. And I know that Eric is an advocate of hot yoga as well. So hot yoga is great. And this is where it becomes important to track yourself, because as long as you're making progress, you see, if hot yoga was something that was holding you back, then it might be worth a discussion. But if you're saying that it's taking your stress away, you feel amazing, then definitely keep it in.
I have been kind of plateaued for a while,
Okay.
and I've been in spring for a while. Oh, I do track my ketones, by the way. That's another thing I track. But I usually stay in the trace to small. I don't really get higher up than that.
Okay. So is this a weight plateau?
Well, I started doing the yoga after I plateaued, so I don't know.
Okay.
It's my dog.
So let's have a look at some other things. I now see the value of Eric sharing about the different kinds of, like, setting yourself up for success and having different kinds of measures for success. So you're saying you're plateauing, and it's still possible that you're keep losing fat while your weight is stopping. So do you track your measurements in any form?
No, I feel my clothes. I can tell how my clothes feel.
Okay, so your clothes are telling you that you're in a kind of plateau.
Yeah.
Okay. How does your energy feel?
Great.
Okay, that's fantastic. And you're saying that you're in spring?
Yes.
Okay. So would you share some of your goals with us?
I want to lose weight. I want to lose 2 more sizes.
Okay, so you have a weight goal, and yeah, I would really, really encourage you at this point to, if you're not tracking the exact measurements, to track the measurements, because you're saying that your energy feels great, which is telling me that you are more likely to be in a fat burning state than the sugar burning is likely to give you the energy highs and lows, and what you're telling me kind of gives me the idea that not kind of, that's a wrong way of wording, forget that, delete. What you're telling me is giving me the idea that you are in fat burning mode. So the measurements would be the exact way to track your progress. And also, if you have a chance or access to a body fat percentage scale, that could be useful for you. And then all the other things that are hacks in WildFit Spring that I can recommend to you. Like you're saying you're doing yoga, so you're including the movement. Do you have a chance to do some kind of movements daily? Are you making sure that sugar is not sneaking in? How are your stress levels otherwise?
I actually do yoga every day.
Okay.
And I've been eating at home, which I didn't do before, so I know sugar's not sneaking in. And I also, I just moved, so that maybe that was a little stressful, but I'm getting settled now.
Okay, okay. I would suggest to give it, like, when you say you just moved, like, how long ago was that?
Last month.
Last month. Okay. So you might still need some time to settle in, and that's an interesting topic, because so if you think of how humans lived in nature, and they would live in one territory until they use up all the food there, and then they will have to move on, and usually moving is for them was there was less security, everything was a bit more unstable. That was a stressful time for them. And so historically, for us moving, and I mean, I would relate to it even today, that moving can be a stressful thing. So that might have, and do you find that it might be related to your plateauing? Because by what it sounds, you had made progress before, and then.
Yeah, I did this. I started WildFit with the Learning Strategies group a year ago, April, and I lost, and then I've kind of stayed here for a while.
Yeah. I really feel that could be the reason, the stress levels with the moving. So I would like to give it a few more weeks, and also. Did you have a chance? So you've joined the WildFit 365. We just been through a fast at the end of last month.
Yeah, I did it. I've been doing those
too.
It.
How did you find it?
I did 2 days of it. I did the Alka-Geyser fast.
And what was your experience? Did it help after when you came back from the fast?
Yeah, it did. And, also moving, there's all kinds of new foods here. So I've had to, be a lot more, and my mind's talking to me more than before.
Yeah, you're still in the settling in process. Okay.
Yeah.
So Lori, I think you're doing great, and, stay in touch and just keep doing what you're doing. And keep us posted. So if this persists, then definitely get in touch in the forum or on the next call.
Yeah, I'm having trouble with that forum. I don't get it. It's divided up into the weeks. I don't see a special category for us.
There is a forum group for WildFit 365.
Okay, I did not see it. I'm really struggling with that. I feel like I can't get my questions answered. I can't find anything in there. There was supposedly a group who was going to do the fast, and I couldn't find it.
Okay.
And so I really missed the Facebook, so just my feedback. And then I also, somebody else chatted, please give us the forum for 365.
I mean, Natalie, could you post the link for the forum here?
I just have to find it, but yes.
Okay.
And then also, we got an email saying that the call was at 1:30. So I don't know if that's a different call, if that's the member call, but I got 2 different emails.
Okay, I'm sorry about that, and I don't know what happened. To get clarity on that, I would really suggest to write to our help desk, the support getwildfit.com to find this out, because they will be able to give you the answer to that.
Okay, and then lastly, if I didn't want to do like an Alka-Geyser fast or a water fast, can I do a juice fast, like all natural juice?
Okay, when you say juice fast, do you mean vegetable juice fast, or do you mean fruit juice fast?
I don't know. There's a juice place by here that offers juice fasts, and they make the juice for you and have it all ready. Okay.
To tell you the truth, right now, my answer is I don't know, because WildFit recommends a water fast or an Alka-Geyser fast, and that's an Alka-Geyser Prime fast. And in general, WildFit supports blending versus juicing, because the blending keeps in the fiber, which is also essential, and it really, you know, it really supports the body better rather than just giving it the nutrients with without the fiber. So I don't have an answer for you about that, but I'm going to find an answer for you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lori. All right. Who else is wanting to check in? Okay, I can see a couple of hands and you already shared, so I wonder if I can call on somebody who, and by the way, I see Rosemary's hands, but unfortunately I can't see her camera, and I would really love to work with somebody who's on camera. So I'm going to go with, okay, Candida, would you like to share again your question?
Hi, yes, this is actually regarding the juice fast. So I've done quite a few before I met WildFit. And you have to be extremely careful with the juices, the fruits that they put in to make them more palatable. So even the green juices, usually they sneak in some apple. And so actually, if you are combining that, now I'm not a WildFit coach, but this is what my research has given me. If you are combining the caloric restriction of the fruit juice fast with fruit being in the juice at all, you will switch over to sugar burning. I tested that on my ketone levels. And then you are actually creating the opposite effect of what you want. So your energy will drop, you will crave more, and so on. So a juice fast is only good if you talk to them and really, really tell them that it's only vegetables, and then they're kind of hard. Then the alkalizer is actually a better option because you're also getting the fat in there with it, and it's just clearer and cleaner in terms of the signaling to your body. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Candida. That's a valuable share. And so I just want to tell all of you, if you feel like you have had experience with something that would be useful for the group, then do speak up, and let's learn from each other about our living WildFit journeys. Thank you, Candida. Okay, Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Okay.
We too have plateaued, but I plateaued months ago. So I've been in deep spring for a long time. I think probably, well, I'm a little timid to move out of it, fearful to move out of it. So there's a couple of things. I usually get a bad cold maybe once a year. I was really hoping that I either wouldn't get any colds any longer. But I've had 3, not 1, 3 really bad colds. I don't even know if I call them colds. Last Tuesday I had no voice at all. And now I've got my voice is a little husky. But I need my voice to work. And I had to whisper through 3 hours of work last week. The word to describe how I'm feeling is run down. You might call it exhausted, but it's got that other je ne sais quoi quality about it, just feeling run down. Now, that other lady, I think it was Lori, expressed, that she had a house move. Well, I'm involved in the 365 business course. Candida, I think you are too. And in the process of that, I also am opening up a new center for what I do. So I'm thinking, is it because of stress? I don't feel stressed, but it definitely could be. So I know one of the things that we spoke about in the forum was that we saw sometimes our body as many experiments. So we were trying different foods to see what worked for, I'm going to say, for me. So I've got the feeling that something's missing in my diet, that there's some sort of nutritional, excuse me, starvation that's occurred, and my body's responding in a kind of a full-out way of saying something's wrong. Now I have in the forum, I can't remember the lady, she's something Hunter. She's just a great coach. And she, excuse me, suggested I start having some fruit. So I'm having some blueberries or blackberries in the morning, and then my Alka-Geyser. And I have started having butternut. I've just reduced it to kind of a mushy soup with a couple cloves of garlic, and I love it. So I've started trying to get out of that deep spring, going more into spring. So any kind of suggestions, I'd really, really be very thankful for.
Okay, Elizabeth, please remind me of your goal. Like, what are you hoping to lose weight still?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I could lose without any problems a stone and a half. What's that? About 17 pounds.
Okay.
No, about 20 pounds.
So
But my original goal, though, was my mother was very clean eating, and I wanted to get back to very clean eating. That was one of my goals. One of the goals that has been met, well, it was a surprise, it wasn't a goal, was creating more mental space. So moving away from that, thinking about food, yeah, I was able to uncouple that, and even more so with 2-day fasts during the week. So that's been a real bonus for me, is that I feel that my mental space has increased for me to be more creative. Yeah, I love that part.
okay,
It's another measurement part.
Yeah. That's a huge one. That's really nice, and thank you for sharing that. Okay, so what ratios did you choose for yourself? Are you doing the monthly or the weekly, or?
No, I actually have I never really understood the ratios. So
Okay.
I've just started looking at those now. And I find that kind of surprising, because people now talk about the ratios. I can't remember that being a real part of our program. So I had started in April with a lot of people here.
Yes, it is described in the Living WildFit ebook. And,
Yes,
and then we talked about it on the first call with the WildFit 365. So if you wanted to have a refresher on it, then maybe it's worth watching the first call of this group.
Thank you. Yes, and I didn't know about that first call. So yes, I'll try to find where it is. So no, what I have been on is just deep spring.
Mm-hmm. So so in WildFit, there is actually the importance of cycling seasons. So now that you were introduced to the seasons by WildFit, so there's the deep spring, summer, fall with even more fruits, and then winter is the fast. It's not important for the body to experience it as we would have done it in living in nature. Like we have a lot more flexibility around it, so you can actually tailor it kind of towards your lifestyle. And while you're having health goals or weight goals, WildFit is suggesting to be in WildFit Spring to progress towards your goal. And in the Living WildFit ebook, so that's a good place to go to refresh this, or the call recording of the first call here. It introduces ratios. So cycle your seasons, but it brings up the question, okay, but how often, like how? And that's why we give you the ratios to choose from. And then, the more in the future, the more you get comfortable with using the ratio, cycling between different seasons, you can actually totally make it up for yourself. The purpose of this 365 here is that this is still a group that is learning about WildFit, working towards goals. And so it's, you could call it mastering the ratios, so to speak. So you're absolutely in the right place for learning about the ratios. And we recommend to start with either monthly or weekly ratios. So the weekly ratio will be, in your case, if you're doing spring mostly, then it would be 5 or 6 days of spring and then 1 or 2 days of summer. And if you're going for the monthly ratio, that would be like 27 days of spring and then 3 days of summer, or even stretch it more. And if you really want to stay in deep spring for much of the time, then just come out for 1 or 2 days. So, yep.
So, but I would say my goal right now, not in terms of what Eric was talking about, I just want to get healthy. And I don't feel I'm healthy right now. And I because I'm yearning not to feel run down, you know, I'm looking at emergency things like take supplements, or I've looked at the nutriment contents of the Alka-Geyser, and it is heavy with vitamin C, and it's got a lot of those good nutriments. But I'm looking at, I mean, over where I live, there's something called Bach Rescue. Jeez, I need a rescue.
Okay, so you're feeling run down. And remember that while you're having weight goals or health goals, you would be in one of the categories working towards category 1. So while you might experience health challenges right now in the moment, and if you look at the big picture, what you're doing is constantly improving your health. Your health trajectory is getting better and better and better and better. So right now, like within a short space of time, you're experiencing the feeling run down, the colds, and in the long term, you're actually moving towards better health constantly. Does that make any sense?
It doesn't. I mean, I've lost weight, but my sleep patterns were always excellent. My eating habits were pretty clean before. The types of food that I'm eating a lot of has changed. What I visualize in my mind is that my cells are receiving nutrition, different types of nutrition, and that's my brain cells, my heart, my lungs, all of that. So I visualize that occurring. But I'm also, involved in behavioral psychology, so I'm looking at evidence. And because I feel like this, I go, so, sorry, you can stop listening to me. I don't mean to go over. It's just a kind of.
No, I appreciate that. And what I would love you to focus on is understanding the idea that what WildFit is teaching, in a sense, is that when you're in category 3, you're moving towards category 2. When you're in category 2, you're moving towards category 1, and in category 1, you will have a bit more flexibility, and you can still like tweak minor health goals, but that is what we call category 1, which is an ideal weight with hardly anything or no health challenges. So you are in progress right now, or somewhere along that road. And while you're going through that, you might experience, if you're releasing weight and you're releasing toxins, that could be part of it. It could be that there are like WildFit is WildFit, and I think it gives the best protection possible. But there might be times when you know, some virus gets to us, and then the question is like, how long does it take for me to fight with that virus? Do I come out of it in 1 day, 3 days, a week? And that will depend on your state of health. So I want to invite you to look at the big picture, how you're moving through the categories, and that you are on the right track. And supplements, like you're asking, I'm just trying to look for the right words, because I don't want to say like don't do supplements, because of course you can do what you like to do. What WildFit believes is that, like you were saying, you looked up the nutritional content of the vegetables and the foods, and they have the vitamins in the exact combination that the body has been evolved to take them in. So what you're doing is the best that you're doing, and just keep up the progress. Keep up the process. So keep sticking with it. Keep going with it. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I hope that makes sense. Thank you, Elizabeth. All right. Thank you so much, guys. Okay, Natalie now posted the. Thank you, Natalie. The membership for the Living WildFit 365 forum. So that's where you can come in between these calls that we're having twice a month. And that's where you can come and bring your questions, reach out, share anything. I mean, how many of you have learned something today in the call that wasn't from me or from Eric? Yeah. Thank you for saying that. I definitely feel that this is a community, and so we're here to share and learn from each other. Okay. Okay. And I see your questions, and I okay. I will take a little bit of time to go through some of the questions that appeared in the chat, and I also want to say, would it be helpful if in the forum we had a thread for like questions that you want to discuss on the call? Yeah? Okay, so I will open a thread for those questions, and that those questions might or might not get answered in between, but will help to create a focus for some of the calls that are coming. So that's great. I will do that. Okay. Thank you, Wendy, as well. It's turning out to be a great discussion. Now, I didn't see the questions, but I was asked to look at Candida's question about can we have a discussion regarding introducing some fruit before natural winter to build up the immune system?
Great.
Thank you. I'm going to take a sip of water before I do that. Okay, so I would like to reframe that question if that's okay, because you can when you introduce fruits, that's adding variety. And that is carrying the message of, like, the more fruit you're having, the more the message translates as winter is coming. I don't know whether that's a way to build up the immune system. I would suggest that you are, by living WildFit and cycling seasons, you are building up the immune system. So if you're saying that what you're saying is to include like a few days longer summer break. So you would normally be a spring. I don't know, Candida, do you want to come on? Like, what's your ratio? Do you do weekly or monthly, or how many days of spring and summer?
I do the weekly, but I've been doing deep spring most of the time, except for my emergency transgressions. But I would always go back to deep spring because my goal is to release another 25 pounds. And I've just been wondering about that. I see the fruit being in full season right now, or certain fruit. And since we're talking about seasons, maybe too much deep spring does not give us enough chance to build up, to include the specific vitamins that are part of the fruit makeup that are in the natural season. And maybe that's what's helping us through the winters. Yes, we built up already our immune system with all the vegetables, but there's something specific about some fruit. I'm not talking about going hog wild on fruit that are not even local, but I'm talking about, yes, the berries that are in season, or maybe pears or apple. And I feel like if we're not eating enough of that, are we going to be prepared for the winter to fight all the colds and flus that are surrounding us?
Oh, okay. So you mean winter, not as in fasting, but you mean
natural winter. Natural winter with all the cold and
the planet is
that are there.
Okay.
And being
I misunderstood your question.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, from what I heard from clients, generally the experience has been that it can be a little bit more challenging to be in spring while in winter, simply because it's cold and somehow the body is craving those comforty type of foods. So I would actually encourage you to stay within the spring guidelines and make it as comforty as possible. So you go for the soups and go for the recipes that might include spring approved, but they are a version of comfort foods. I can only think of one thing that I did one time a while ago for Christmas, which was like a bacony, saucy, like bacon and mushroom and onion sauce with beans, and the sauce was thickened with almonds, like ground almonds. So it was a little bit like a stretch for WildFit Spring with all the almond meal, but still it was still kind of within. And so I would really encourage you to stay with it, and let me address that building up the immune system, because you are building up your immune system by living WildFit and cycling the seasons with the ratios that you're doing. So and think of it this way: you're still, like what I said to Elizabeth, you're still moving from category 3 to category 2, from category 2 to category 1. So it's still a progress, and then there will be a time where you will be more flexible with this. So, and just check in with yourself, like how much of this is like, oh, there is fruit around and it's looking at me and I wonder, maybe I do need them. Like, is this maybe the little voice trying to sneak in a really smart line about trying to get the fruits in? Maybe not. Keep noticing that. But it's a really good question. Does that answer your question, Candida?
To be honest, not really. Because it is really targeted towards the immune system, and since WildFit is based on the natural seasons and then taken on even further to get the goals to the goals that we want, I was just looking at the how our systems are built more in that way, and naturally we would be building up more. It's not just the sugars, but also the other vitamins. And I'm saying about, you know, adding more berries, not going hog wild on it, but just to add that variety, and they do come as whole pieces of vitamins and minerals, and I don't think that they're really that the vegetables can actually replace what is in a combination pack of the natural fruit. And I feel like the body needs that in order to build up extra vitamin C in order to be able to fight all the bugs that are floating around in the natural winter. And also the elements, the weather. But of course, I'm talking about the northern hemisphere, not about the southern hemisphere in terms of winter, natural winter.
Okay. Well, I do believe that the green leafy veg contain the vitamins and minerals that and there are tremendous varieties. Like there's so many variety of green leafy veg. Think of root vegetable greens, and they do have the widest variety of plant minerals and vitamins available. But on the other hand, if you wanted to give yourself a longer type of summer, what you could do, and this was suggested to, I think, Ariel, one of the calls, or somebody who asked about keeping to exercise. Or maybe it was Eleanor, I don't know, never mind. I wanted to exercise while being in spring, and Eric suggested that, so if you think of the 5-to-2 ratio weekly, that's translated, or the 6-to-1, translated to monthly, that's like 24 to 4, or along those lines. So you could keep like a monthly or once a month a longer summer, and then not going to summer for a while. So you could do that, and just remember that the longer you go on, the harder it will be to get back, and the longer you go, it might slow your process down. That's sad. That's okay. It's up to you. So if you're completely fine with that, with how you're progressing, then you can do that.
Well, there's also the question of so introducing just a little bit more fruit, just because of the length of deep spring throughout the last 9 months, or since April, and then while maybe the fasting is more effective than the extra vitamins and minerals from the fruit. I don't know. These are just the thoughts that I'm having, you know, between the fruit and the fasting, and what is more effective, or maybe we need both, and so on. Cool,
really good. Yeah, all seasons are they have their place, and ultimately it will be up to you to manage them, and then work together with us for these 12 months. And okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Candida. All right. Thank you guys today so much for the call. It's I'm really liking how, because this is a new experience for WildFit as well as for you guys. So I'm really liking how this is a discussion, and we're learning from each other. And I would love to keep that going. So stay in touch with remember always that you have the forum that was shared in the chat box, where you can reach out in between the calls, and keep sharing whatever is going on for you, and I will post the question thread for your questions for the live calls. Okay, and everyone have a lovely Saturday, rest of the day or afternoon or evening, wherever you are. And I look forward to checking in with you again in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
I will see you in the forums.
Thank
Bye.
you.